So here we have the history of Uganda Museum. Uganda Museum was officially opened in 1908. That was at Fort Lugard, Old Kampala Hill, where we have the National Mosque of Uganda. And this is the building called Fort Lugard. It is just next to Gaddafi Mosque. Gaddafi Mosque is the National Mosque of Uganda, so it's where the museum was officially opened. Then in 1942, the museum was transferred to Makerere University School of Art. After they had seen the collections were increasing in the building and the building became small because the artifacts were increasing. So they moved it to Makerere University in 1942 and then it was brought here where it is permanently in 1953. So this area where the museum is called Chitante Hill, and this main building we're in was constructed by the British, since by that time we were still under the British Protectorate. So Uganda Museum is the oldest museum we have in East Africa. It is over 111 years now. And here it is the museum. They're trying to show you how the museum looks like currently. The current museum and how it was looking like in Makerere University by the time it was transferred there in 1942 and how it was at Fort Lugard.
Number one is Fort Lugard.
Yeah, number one is Fort Lugard. That's where it was at first in 1908 because that is where the museum was officially opened. Then in 1942, it was transferred to Makerere University School of Art. After they had seen the collections were increasing in the building and it became small, because you have Bigo bya Mugenyi. And Bigo bya Mugenyi is one of the largest ironstone age sites we're having in Uganda currently. And it is currently located in Sembabule district of Uganda. So Bigo bya Mugenyi, these were settlements of the Bachwezi people. And Bachwezi, we believe and are said to be the first Ugandan people. Because by the time these people came and settled here in Uganda, Uganda was not a country, it didn't have any name. It was around 1400 AD and they stayed here up to 1600 AD. So when these people came, they settled in the area they named Bigo bya Mugenyi. Mugenyi, like in Luganda, it means visitors. So when they settled here, they introduced many economic activities. They started introducing economic activities. They started farming here in Uganda. That's when they introduced agriculture. They introduced pottery making here in Uganda. That's why you see some of the pottery remains on the display. They introduced iron working and smelting here in Uganda. That's why here we have some of the knives that other people introduced from iron working and smelting. They introduced the local chess as one of the first games. We call it the Mweso board game. It was the first game to be played here. They also introduced salt mining here in Uganda. They introduced the long-horned cattle we have here in Uganda, because we believe these people, they came from Ethiopia and passed via Southern Sudan, then settled here in Uganda. So they are the ones who introduced the long-horned cattle here in Uganda. And then these people also are said to be demigods, because for them they had supernatural powers. Like for them, they used to disappear. They could not die, but could just disappear. Like if someone dies, just disappears. Those are the powers these people had. That's why they used to call them gods. And here small, this was a dumping site for the Bachwezi. This is the area where those people, the Bachwezi, who are believed and said to be the first Ugandans, where they used to dump their rubbish. Because for them, they used to dump rubbish in one place. So that rubbish they used to dump, it used to decay, and then the decay could form into soil. So after some time, that soil formed into a mold, something like a heap. So when these people disappeared from the place where they used to stay, since for them they were demigods, they had those powers of disappearing. So the archaeologists came in. But when the archaeologists came in, they found this mold and excavated it. So when they excavated it, these are some of the remains that were got inside the mold. And these remains proves to us that these people, the Bachwezi, they are the ones who introduced the different activities here in Uganda. Like here we have the grinding stone that was used to grind millet into flour, which proves to us that these people, they are the ones who introduced farming or agriculture here in Uganda. And then here we have some of the iron slugs. Iron slugs, these are waste products of iron working. And this proves to us that these people, they are the ones who started iron working and smelting here in Uganda. And also here we have some of the cattle horns and the cattle bones that proves to us that these people, they are the ones who introduced the long-horned cattle here in Uganda. And then also some of the pottery remains that proves to us that they are the ones who started pottery making here in Uganda. Then the pictures up in the background, they try to show you how the mold looked like before excavation and how it looked like during excavation when they were getting the different remains from it. And into small is just next to Sembabule district, like where these people that work in the King's Palace. So for him, his role, he was a herdsman. And by the time the missionaries came to Uganda, they first reached the King's Palace since they were invited by the king. So they found there Ham-Mukasa. So when they got there, Ham-Mukasa welcomed them well, and these people picked interest in him. So after, they even spread the gospel to him, and he's said and believed to be one of the first Ugandans that first converted to Christianity. So these people, when they were going back to their countries after doing their missionary works in Uganda, they decided to go back with Ham-Mukasa, since he was one of the first converts, and is believed and said to be one of the first Ugandans that first went abroad to study, even before Uganda got independence, because for him he went back with the missionaries. And he's also one of the survivors of the Uganda matters, because by the time the king ordered for the killing of all the Ugandans that had converted to Christianity, for Ham-Mukasa he was away with the missionaries. Yeah. And by the time he came back, he found his friends were killed. So in too much fear, he thought he was also going to be killed. So he went and presented himself to the king, but the king again feared killing him, because the king was wondering the braveness that this guy had after him hearing that his friends were killed, and again him coming presenting himself to the king, because the king thought maybe he has a backup plan. So the king feared killing him, and then that's how he survived being killed as a martyr. So he became a teacher, and he started teaching the fellow Ugandans how to read and write, since he was one of the first Ugandans to go abroad to study. Ham-Mukasa. So he died in 1956. They practiced in western Uganda, where we have Ankole and Bahima. These two tribes are cattle keepers mostly, so they produce a lot of milk. And down here, they try to show you some of the milking vessels, containers, gourds these people use for taking and keeping milk. Then in the corner there, we have a gourd that they use for making butter. What the lady is pouring milk, then begin to shake to make butter, that one that is armed up in the corner. And then the other pot that has a hole in it, it is called a fumigator. The other pot, where there is another pot that is on top of it, it's called a fumigator, where they put dried grass inside that pot and then light fire on it to smoke the milk that is up in the other pot that is upside down. The fumigator is used for smoking milk. Since here in Uganda, most of those people, the Westerners, take smoked milk. And in that picture, where you see a man piercing around the cattle's neck, that is mostly practiced by the Kamajongs. And for them, they have the same culture with the Maasais in Kenya. Because for them, they get fresh blood from live animals, and then they mix this blood with with milk, then they take it as food. And up now, they are still doing it. And here we have the barrows these people use for mixing blood and milk. And here we have the spear that they use for piercing around the cattle's neck to remove the quant of blood, and also the belt that are worn by oxen, goats, cows for identification. And this first printing press was donated by the missionaries and used by one of the first missionaries to come to Uganda, that was Alexander Mackay, and he used to use this printing press in 1876, and it was used to print books. These books were in Uganda by talking about the word of God. Since that was the major aim where the missionaries came to Uganda, their major aim was spreading Christianity. So when they reached here, they saw Ugandans didn't know English. So one of the first missionaries, it's called J.L.P. Ayton, we're going to see him in the second section. So for him, he met some Ugandans that at least knew how to read and write. Then they helped him to translate the English Bible to Uganda. And here, these are some of the books that were in Uganda talking about the Word of God. Like we have the Chitabe Chitukuvu, meaning the Holy Bible. We have the Dinia Katonda talking about the Word of God. Katikisimu, they were all talking about the Word of God. Then up here, they try to show you how we used to dress in the past. This is the lubugo. Lubugo is bark cloth. It's what the Baganda people used to wear in the past. So during barter trade, when the Arabs came in and introduced the cloth materials, we stopped putting on lubugo, and then we started wearing suka, where the ladies were wrapping themselves, then tying something in the waist. And then later, the girls of Gaza High School introduced a new design named Busuti. Busuti was covering the shoulders. And the Gaza High School is one of the missionary schools. So currently, we're wearing a gomesi as a traditional wear. And the only difference that gomesi has from busuti is that busuti were flat on their shoulders. And currently, the gomesi have peaks on top of the shoulders. And this gomesi was introduced by this map called shows how the different ethnic groups entered Uganda and the different routes they passed in where they get entering Uganda and where they settled when they entered Uganda. And the first ethnic group to enter Uganda were the Bushmanoid. They were the first ones, followed by the Bantu, which is the largest ethnic group we have in Uganda, then followed by the Sudanese, and then the Highland Mauritians, then the Luo, and lastly with the Nilo Hamites to enter Uganda. So this brown part, this is the Bantu. and this is the largest ethnic group we have in Uganda. And most of the tribes you find in an ethnic group. This means that this maybe when a person from another tribe is speaking, at least the other one can easily speak. Now, like we say, now like the Baganda and Basoga, they are all in the Bantu. So when a Muganda is speaking, a Msoga can pick. When a Muganda is speaking, a Munyoro or a Mutoro can pick, at least what the other one is speaking. Like that. Even the ones that are found in the Sudanese, when the Lugbala is speaking, the Madi can easily understand something. When the Metu is standing, the Okebu can or the Lendu can easily pick what the other people are speaking. Then down here we have still a map of Uganda showing the different physical features and then the different settlements where the different tribes settled when they entered Uganda. Like here we have Mountain Rwenzori, the highest mountain we have in Uganda. We have Lake Victoria, and Lake Victoria, its former name was Nalubale. Nalubale, these were small gods of Baganda, because for them they used to watch waters. So the British named it Victoria in remembrance of their Queen of England. As a main crops of Uganda, the map in the background shows where some of the crops came from to Africa. For us here in Africa, we only had coffee, millet, and simsim. The other crops came from other continents like cassava, groundnuts, sweet potatoes, cotton came from South America. Sweet potatoes, tobacco, cassava, groundnuts came from South America. Cotton and maize came from North America. Tea, banana came from Asia, and sugarcane came from Australia. But here in Uganda, when you got the banana plants, and these ones mostly come from from Asia, in India, it's where they originated from. So when you got them here in Uganda, we started planting them as a cash crop, while the men were selling the bananas and they were earning a living, and also the ladies were doing banana beer as one of the local beers. Up to now it is still done in the local markets, and then they were selling this beer and they were earning a living out of it. And down here, they tried to show you some of the weeding tools these people used to use in the past for cultivating and weeding the different banana plantations. Though currently, most Ugandans believe or say that these crops, the ones now like the cassava, the groundnuts, are originated from here, but they are not originated from here, but just because Uganda has the best soils or the good soils for the proper growing of these foods. That's why most of people think they are here, but originally they are from the other transport, and we have water transport, and this was the earliest means of transport here in Uganda. Water transport was the first and earliest means here, and it was introduced by the Arabs, who brought in the doors, and these are the doors and the canoes that were blown by the monsoon winds on the Indian Ocean. Because when the Arabs came in Uganda didn't have any means of transport, and for us we used to walk long distances. So these people found it hectic to walk long distances, so they introduced the canoe and the doors that were blown by the monsoon winds, and they were using these ones for exporting and also importing the goods they were bringing for us. Then the map in the background shows the different trade routes where these people used to pass and where they used to sell their trade items, where they used to stop. Like they were coming from Mombasa, Zanzibar, Bagamoyo, and they were passing there because they were using the Indian Ocean. And these are the doors they were using on it. Then they were moving up to Mengo, where the King's Palace was, and then they could begin their businesses. So here they try to show you how for us we used to carry things on our heads, then walk long distances because we didn't have any means of transport. Lake and river fish. So they try to show you the types of fish that are found in Lake Victoria and the ones that are found in River Nile. And here in Uganda, we mostly feed on the tilapia species and the Nile perch. Since the other types of fish, they are like totems to other tribes and clans, so they don't eat them. We just export them to the other countries. So here are the tilapia, some type of tilapia, and also that's a tilapia. Then also the Nile perch, they are the ones that are mostly consumed here in Uganda. So here we have the traditional architecture, and in this section we have the Katubi tombs. So Katubi tombs is one of the World Heritage Sites run by UNESCO, and it is one of the biggest grass-patched house we have in the whole world. And these tombs for the kings of Buganda, this is where they bury every king that dies from Buganda Kingdom. From the first one to the current one, when he dies, he's also going to be buried in the same tomb. And then here we have the one for Angola and Bahima, but then this is a hut for Milik. So they try to show you how these people construct their huts, where they make like butter, the different products from Milik. And then this is for the Nyoro people, how they also bury their kings. The Banyoro, these are the tombs of the Banyoro, how they bury their kings. snakes, but then they are just dried and preserved. We have some of the reptiles of Uganda, and this down we have some of the snakes. Like we have a water cobra up there. It's called a water cobra because it stays in waters. And down here we have the Gabon vipers. These ones are mostly found in bush and forested areas. Then here we have the boomslang, and the boomslang, this one is the most poisonous snake and most dangerous snake in Uganda. It is mostly found on top of rocks and also on top of trees, but it is the most dangerous and poisonous here in Uganda. We have other species, but then they're just trying to show you the sample of them, or some of them, the ones that we have here in Uganda. Then here we have some of the bird species, the ones that we have here in Uganda. Like on the wood here we have the bearded woodpecker. It is called a woodpecker because it pecks the wood. And down here we have a secretary bird. The secretary bird, these ones look like marabou-stooks. They almost have the same shape, but then the marabou-stooks have kind of, their necks are long and bigger than the secretary birds. And these ones are seasonal. They call them secretary birds because they are ever moving. Sometimes you can find them in Uganda, sometimes you look them, you don't find them anywhere because they are ever moving. And up here we have the black and white coast-quilled hornbill, we have the skimmers, we have the snake bird. This one here is called the snake bird because it feeds on snakes, and it is mostly found on waters, like you can find it on Lake Victoria or River Nile in Ginger. And down you have the African jacana and the black-winged stilts. The first one of the show in London. And this was donated by the British Council and given to one of the first British governor, that was Sir S.K. Bell. And he used it to ease the transportation here in Uganda, because in Uganda we didn't have any means of transport. So SKS used to use this to ease the transportation. He was the first British governor. And then the other side we have a canoe or boat that was first used on Lake Victoria. And then we have a wheelchair that was used for carrying the kings to the different destinations to where they were taking them. And it was lifted by two men because we didn't have like horses to ride it. So here we have a presidential seat, the chair that the current president sat on when he came in power. That was 1986. That's when Museveni came in power, and this is the chair he used as a ceremonial seat when he came in power. And then here we have some of the awards that were won by one of the Uganda musicians, that is Ed Kenzo. He won the BET award last year, so he decided to donate it to Uganda Museum to inspire the young generation. He even won the Afrima and Konde, they are all his, so he donated all of them to inspire the young generation. And here we have some of them. So they try to show you the different areas where we get these minerals and the different uses. We have like the silica sand, we have the phosphate, we have the limestone, we have the volcano ash, we have cement, we have kaolin, we have the rock salt, we have the diatomite, we have here the marbles, we have the cut stone, the dimension stones, the vermiculite, the terrazza. And here we have the tin, we have copper, we have iron, we have gypsum, we have manganese, the pellet cubes, wolfram. These are all minerals that we have here in Uganda. And we also have gold, but gold currently is not on exhibition because of safety reasons. But it's also one of the minerals we have. And we have a telephone switch. And this was used for communication here in Uganda because we didn't have mobile phones, the ones we're using currently for communication. And we used to use this for communication. It was always wired as how we wired electric poles. Because in the past we had telephone poles and they had telephone wires that were always connecting on this. And this was run by one person. So you come in and tell that person the information you want to send. So this person sends it and you come back after some time to check on the reply. That's how the telephone switch used to work. And the other side, we have the Independence Monument, the one that is wooden, that shows like a mother setting a child free, that we're no longer in the hands of the British, now we're governing ourselves. That's the hidden meaning behind it, the monument. And the original monument is found around the Sheraton Hotel. Recently here in Uganda, and this exhibition was opened in 2015. So it shows some of the areas where we discovered oil. Now like here, this is a map of Uganda, showing where we discovered oil, and oil was discovered in western Uganda around Lake Albert. So these areas around Lake Albert, it's where we discovered oil. So the things, or the tools that are in here, they'll be helping the oil refining industry. Like down here, we have drill bit. This one will be helping the drilling of oil from underground. We have some of the trucks that will be helping in cementing and logging. And these trucks are going to computerize, so it will be a computer that will be directing it what to do. And there we have the one that will be helping in logging. And here we have some of the sample of crude oil that was got from the areas where we discovered oil. That's a sample of it. And this is how they want the refinery to look like after construction. It is going to be constructed that side of Hoima in western Uganda. And this is what is in process now. They are constructing an export pipeline that is going through the East African countries. Currently, they are constructing the one in Kenya. So when this one is done, they will construct the refinery. And it's a safety gear. This is how they want those people who would be working in the oil industry to be dressed for protection. A Christmas tree to be also helping. Its name is a Christmas tree because of the different branches it has on it. And it will be also helping in the drilling of oil. So here we have a sculpture of Walumbe, which means death in Buganda. So this was their god of death. And Walumbe was a brother to Nambi. And Nambi, the reason as why this Walumbe was termed as god of death, it is because he used to kill Nambi's children. Since Nambi got married to a man his brother Walumbe didn't like, so Walumbe used to kill all the children that Nambi used to produce for the man that he got married to. So that's why the Baganda termed him as god of death. And then this sculpture was made by Maloba, and it was designed, and then the Baganda started worshipping it as a god of death. So this section talks about the life of the Aleman, the different areas the Aleman used to stay in. Like here, they trying to show human life and development 1 million years ago, how those people used to stay, how they used to live their lives. Like by that time, this is where the evolution comes. That maybe we came from apes, because we used to be hairy by that time, and we used to be naked. Like we never had clothes. By that time, they had not even yet discovered backcloth, and they used to stay under the broken trees as their shelter. They were feeding on fruits and hunted animals as their meat. And here we have the making of the stone tools. So here they try to show you some of the tools that the Aleman discovered from stones. Like this is the hammer the Aleman got from stones, and these are the current ones that we're using as hammers. We have the axe that the Aleman discovered from stones, and then the current axe we're using now, and also how he discovered fire by hitting the stones together, because the Aleman discovered fire in 2 ways. That was hitting the stones together and also rubbing the sticks in wood. So here they try to show you how we used to use the pebble tools, the one that were made up of stones, to cut the hunted, to remove the skins and heads of the hunted animals, and how we used to go for hunting. Then also how we were doing the pebble tools, so how we was discovering fire by hitting the stones in wood. And these traditional musical instruments were mostly used for communication and also entertainment here in Uganda. And then these longer drums, they used to put on snake skins, because whenever they were drumming them, they used to produce a different sound from the other drums, from these ones, because these ones they used to put on animal skins, mostly cow skins. And have the Bogisuki drum that was used for communication mostly. And here we have the rattles. These ones, they used to tie them around the legs. So when these people were going to practice their traditional dances, they used to step the legs down, and these rattles were producing different sounds. And we have the xylophones. These ones, they arrange them according to the range of the sticks according to the notes. So every stick produces a different note. And here we have the flutes. These ones, they blow in here, and then they all produce different sounds. There are some that are made out of the hippo tooth, some are made out of the cat horns, some are made out of clay swell, and some are made out of the bamboo sticks.
I feel like you're not getting it.
So here we have the side-blown composite trumpets, and these ones were used mostly in support of games, and sometimes when they were going to have their battles, they also used to use such trumpets to blow air, used as whistles most times. And here we also have the side-blown composite trumpet.